Super Famicom had loads and loads of RPGs that were never localized in North America. Now, I've covered several dozen on this channel, and many have become some of my favorite games ever. One that I haven't gotten to until now, though, is Tenchi Muyo Gamehen, otherwise known as Tenchi Muyo RPG. It was developed by Band Presto and released in late 1995 when the Super Famicom was at the very tail end of its life. That meant it didn't do too well even in Japan, and it went completely overlooked by North American gamers. Thankfully, an updated full translation for the game was released in 2009, giving all of us who missed out on it back then another chance. And just like games like Far East of Eden Zero, Emerald Dragon, Energy Breaker, and others in the same category, it's worth doing. Tenchi Muyo Gamehen is based on the popular anime series of the same name, which follows the adventures of Tenchi, Ryoko, Eika, and others at the Masaki residence, just like on the show. On what seems to be an average morning, the group notices their friend Washu is missing as they eat breakfast. Just as Mihoshi and Ryo-Oki set out to find her, the whole house radiates odd colors and monsters appear down the hallway. What an intro. They soon find that the source of the monsters is actually a mysterious woman named Shizuki, who sets out to test the strength of the group and has taken Sasami hostage. After losing a fight, she actually flies off in a spaceship. So yes, just like in the show, the story is wrapped up in travel through space, and you even get to go to the moon at one point. Now that's certainly a new one. Besides Final Fantasy IV, that is. But honestly, it's definitely what a fan of the anime series would probably expect. There's a lot of cheeky humor and childlike conversations that aren't really my cup of tea, but I think that if you like this style of anime, it'll be perfect for you. The biggest thing that stands out about Tenchi Muyo Gamehen goes without saying. It's the totally unique visual presentation. The gameplay all takes place in a grid-based, isometric world where the sprites are huge. In fact, they might be bigger than those in any other RPG on the entire system. The colors are also super vibrant in a way that few other titles on the platform were. The combat animations don't live up to the graphics themselves, but the visuals were very impressive. In fact, they even put some PlayStation and Saturn games to shame, if you ask me. The battles in this one play out almost exactly like they do in games like Tactics Ogre and Fire Emblem. Each unit can move and act once per turn, and proximity plays a big role in everything. For each battle, you choose 4 characters that are always pitted against 4 enemies. Your abilities each consume energy units up to a maximum of 8, and some energy is regenerated each turn. New abilities are learned at specific level thresholds, and after level 3, the characters also receive special transformation skills. The weird thing is that you don't actually gain experience points, and the typical RPG experience gain system is replaced by requirements to kill a specific number of enemies per level. I'll admit that this was really different, but it didn't bother me nearly as much as the next, much more weird fact, and that's that there aren't even any weapons, armor, or items at all. This fact makes the game a lot less thought-provoking and interesting than it really could have been, and it's simple to the extent that it will disappoint a lot of RPG fans. I'll also say that the cursor in combat is super slow and clunky. It's a huge annoyance that really doesn't hold up well. The game is honestly very short too, and you can beat it pretty easily in less than 10 hours. It doesn't pose much of a challenge either. There's a few powerful bosses that are fairly tough, but many of those don't even move, so you're able to easily counter them. The soundtrack is pretty solid though, and I really enjoyed all of its upbeat tracks. Sure, it wasn't made by any super famous RPG composer like Nobuo Uematsu or anything, but I think it perfectly captured the right spirit and feel for the game. I think it's probably the greatest strength of the game, actually. Overall, this is an RPG that you can probably skip unless you play pretty much everything else or just really like the Tenchi Muyo series. The graphics and music work really well, but underneath that veneer, the game just isn't very gripping or innovative. It's wacky thematically, but this is probably to be expected from the anime style. I'll give the English translation patch credit for being well done for what it is, but it just didn't hold my attention. Tenchi Muyo Gamehen doesn't compare to many of the great Super Famicom RPGs that weren't localized, and it's probably only worth playing for the most hardcore fans or RPG beginners. But what do you think? Have you played this one, or does it look interesting to you at all? Let me know in a comment below. Please also like, subscribe, and click the bell for more retro gaming content. Big shout out to my Patreon patrons and YouTube members also. If you want early access to the videos I produce and other perks like they receive, please consider supporting the channel by becoming a Patreon patron or via the YouTube Join feature.